Oh,
kinda.
That's the difficult part for me is that I guess I've been at Siemens for 2 years though now, designing fire alarm systems. So I could, as long as although you have to, the person signing off on your hours has to be a hot NICET holder, right?
Yeah. So I got somebody to sign off on my hours that is a NICET 2 and a state ITT.
Yeah, like I could get.
But it was somebody that I supervised.
Oh, that's funny.
So a lot of my my time that I put on my work experience is all either my apprentice time when I was in 669 in Iowa, which is 2006-7, like 2 years of inspections work and TI work there. And then when I went back to California, California's laws are different. So I did inspections in California too. So I put all that time down, and then I put my time as a service manager overseeing people, which means like, hey, I know the book because I had to oversee these people that were doing the work. And I got one of my NICET 2 ITT guys to sign off on my experience, like doing the vouch for you part. So we'll see. In a weird way, my work experience is verified by the guy that I was overseeing, but
that doesn't happen very often.
Who had a NICET longer, obviously, like he knows his shit, and he's saying, I know my, we'll see.
However you got to do it.
Starting the day with controversy.
Oh yeah.
Good morning.
Jake out there changing laws.
It's been a slog, but hopefully within 90 days, then we'll get it. So you had to watch the live stream or you don't get that story. Good morning. How's your week?
What's happening, fellas?
I know Ira's rocking the same hat, so I know as a guy who likes hats, right? And by the way, I see the 12. I see the custom hat you got going on there.
Yeah, Dad was pretty proud of his Northwest Fire hat that he got.
But as a guy who likes hats, like I think I have 37 Yankees hats, something like that. Yeah,
like legit. You're not?
No, I'm not joking. Like the last time I counted, I think I had 37, and they're fitted. They're all the fitted wool.
Yeah, the real.
But as a guy who once you get a hat and it just kind of breaks in the right way, you don't ever want to wear a different hat for a while. So I can relate. You wearing the champion hat there.
Yeah, but he's
even though it's a snapback,
same hat because he has.
I was trying to get
not showered in a week.
I was trying to get different. Just cause I know he doesn't own a comb, but I was trying to get it pass.
It's also just my way of getting into racing mode. This is my racing hat.
And for our people that watch our live stream every week, we will have guests today, supposedly.
Oh, yeah. Is that happening?
We've been trying to set this up, so it's going to happen. We'll give them the heads up here in a bit, and they'll call in. But we should have Shanti and Shuby from the Happy Hour News Team podcast that is hailing from the... God, I can't imagine what it's like right now. I've been bitching about our winter. They're from North Dakota.
Ooh.
So I've been bitching about our winter because we've had so much rain.
Why do people live there?
Sidebar to my sidebar. My wife was complaining about the rain, and I said, I'm a weirdo because I moved here from California for the weather. We've established that. I'm a weirdo for all kinds of reasons. But I look at it like maybe this is our global warming, right? Like maybe as everything's changing and climate's changing and they're getting more hurricanes and tornadoes in the South and New Orleans stuff. Maybe our version in the Northwest of global warming is just wetter, warmer winters.
Maybe.
And as much as that sucks because flooding's no joke and all that kind of stuff, I'd rather have that than all the other shit. Honestly, I mean, other than earthquakes, because you can't see them coming, we can have those here though too.
I thought about that. Do you ever think
it's not just the California thing.
Have that thought when you're way down and like P7 parking level in a building?
For sure.
And you think, man,
what if there's a wicked earthquake?
The big one happened right now. Be fucking buried.
You're done.
That would suck.
But yeah, so the Shanti and Shuby from Happy Hour News Team should be on here in about 20-30 minutes or so. Nice. But yeah, they're in North Dakota, so they had me on as a guest when I was talking about the new stuff with the band. And we're now trying to plan some shows in the Dakotas and Colorado because of that. So
nice.
They seem like pretty good dudes. We had a good time on their show. So
Colorado,
they're going to join us here in a bit.
I like Colorado.
I heard, they sell North Dakota pretty hard. So, I mean, I would at least go check it out.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they talk about how bad it sucks, but
sure.
They, just like you guys are from Alaska, I mean, if you're from a remote place that you have some cool people you hang out with, even if the place sucks.
Yeah, the summers are incredible, but yeah, the
winters 4 weeks long,
way too long.
Yeah, you got
You got Mount Rushmore, right?
That's South Dakota.
Oh shit, yeah.
I believe.
So what's in North Dakota? Nothing, right?
I think it's Sturgis. Sturgis is South Dakota, obviously, and I
Right.
think the Rushmore is South Dakota.
Yeah, it might be.
So we'll have to
Dakota,
to pick their brain about, because we're I speak for myself. I'm completely geographically ignorant, even in my own country. So
Oh yeah.
anyway,
have you seen those maps where people try to fill out all the names of the states?
oh geez,
It's hilarious.
I know my
Just writing all
states.
kinds of shit.
I know my states, and I could do pretty good on my capitals, but that's like
Me
second
too.
grade shit.
Yeah.
After that's where I'm done.
be too
I'm
proud of
done.
that.
I'm done for that.
I know. It's funny because
And now they keep renaming stuff, so you know.
people from the East Coast try to figure out what's on the West Coast, and they barely can figure out that that Oregon
Yeah.
is south of Washington.
Yeah.
Shit like that. It's so funny. But then you think about it, and you go, well, I don't know. You look at a map. I mean, okay, if you look at a map, that's one thing. You can probably figure it out. But like, tell me where New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and New York all are, or Connecticut, and you kind of go, well, wait a minute. At least for me, I mix all that shit up, and then all of a sudden I look at a map. I'm like, oh yeah, Connecticut's fucking over there, and then New York is up there. Like most of New York is, state and shit like that.
Last year I did a
weird.
drive from DC down to, from Boston to DC, and it was like in 3 days I was in 8 states or something like that.
Oh yeah, we did.
And
that
so it makes you realize, like,
younger.
yeah, I don't know. Try not to dwell on it too much, but you just realize how dumb people are. Like regionally dumb, or regionally, I guess, regionally smart and dumb overall. Because you think about the East Coast, where everybody in this country, at least all the white people settled. It was already settled, but that's another story. But where the white people landed, and they didn't spread out very far. Obviously, everything's kind of packed in. Then as they spread out and time went by, then they spread out farther and farther. It's just so obvious to see the pattern. It's like looking at Pangea and then looking at the continents.
In terms of evolution, I mean, think about it. It's like we're only supposed to be familiar with what's right here and what's over there, maybe, right?
It is amazing though how we should be more informed, being so connected, and we should be aware.
Totally.
I mean, you can take a Google Street Map view, or whatever the right sentence is there. You can take tours through all these famous places around the world without ever going, and you need to go still, but you almost don't have to in order to learn.
Totally.
But yet people don't know if Washington's above Oregon or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I can barely do Rhode Island, maybe,
right,
and only because I know it sticks out into the ocean. I mean,
right, and it's super tiny. Yeah, I know. It's totally weird.
A lot of people are very ignorant as to what people 30 miles away from them. I mean, it's like, what do Seattleites know about us way out here? Or not even us, but the people who have been out here for generations, the farmers, what their daily struggles are, and vice versa.
Lately, it's the flooding.
Yeah.
There's some crazy flooding around here.
Dude, there are roads closed all over the place. I was trying to get home last night, or not last night, the night before. And I was like, well, 169 is closed.
From the gay bar?
Yeah, well, so I got to make a living, 18 was closed.
Yeah.
Like almost every highway coming into Maple Valley was closed. And so I'm trying to take this other route to try to get home, and to get all the way down this road, Jones Road, I think, or whatever.
Yeah.
Petrovitsky.
Yep.
Get all the way up, and then it's
the windy, dark roads.
Yeah. And then there's a downed power pole like feet from the road that I was going to turn left on Petrovitsky and go home and stuff. It was
after you went all the way around.
I could throw a fucking rock, but no, there's a down power pole and everyone's turning around and there's a cop there and stuff. I'm like, God damn it. So for the second night in a row.
4 low.
Yeah. Well,
crawl that bit.
It had happened the night before on a different street. Same scenario, just about. So 2 nights in a row, it took me like 2 hours to get home.
Jesus.
Bellevue. I was like, God damn. So yeah, it's like, it's fucking real out there, dude. It's like really a problem, all this
around this neighborhood there's a bunch of water over the roadway signs, and a bunch of, because Enumclaw, at least part of it here is on such a plateau. You're still on the plateau, but you're kind of over toward the foothills more. Out here it's just so flat that it just pools up. There's like mini lakes anywhere, even just a normal rainy winter. But around here lately it's been over the roads. There's been like they're checking IDs to go down certain roads, like local people only. So,
really?
Yeah.
Checking IDs?
Yeah, I like to check the address on you to make sure you really live down that street because it's flooded. And you're like, no, I'm just going home. Like, no, your kid's trying to go out and
Yeah.
Brody through the the culvert, whatever. But
The
That's
ducks
funny.
are very happy,
yeah, oh
but
god,
the
yeah.
cows are not
Yeah.
happy.
That's the best. There you go. Ira
Yeah.
did it in one sentence.
You sounded like a Native American guy trying to be wise
Trying to be wise.
for the ducks, but not for the cows.
Any
The
checkered
ducks
flags this
are
week? Or
very-
are we still not racing yet?
Nah,
Of course,
we're
how could you race
Right
with all
now
this
we're-
goddamn rain?
Yeah, today's supposed to be
Today's
nice.
supposed to be
That's
sunny,
why
so
we're.
we're going out.
we're
Now I
going
know
out.
why you do the indoor thing.
Oh yeah, this time of year, there's no way you could do it outdoor. You couldn't schedule it anyway. It would have to be a last minute thing.
Well,
Like, oh, we
they
got a
should
good
put
weekend.
slicks on all the cars and just do them outdoor in the winter.
Well,
just teach the
A
kids how
lot
to
of
drift.
a
They
lot
are
of
slicks most of the time.
a lot of parents do that for that very reason, to get a kid used to kind of driving a car
Breaking it
that's breaking
loose,
loose
yeah.
and know how
I was
to
being
not
sarcastic, but it's
freak
actually
out.
cool if they do that.
yeah. It's-
Sometimes they do.
They're some of the best drivers. I was talking to one of the dads who was really, really good. His son was really, really good and winning championships all the time. And that from day one, he put him in the car. He unlocked the left rear, which means the rear wheels are not stuck together. One of them is just freewheeling. And that makes the car really loose. I mean, it's
So
gonna
the car, all of the driving is off the right rear, just pushing
Yeah.
the car, and nothing is happening over here.
so it just puts you all over the place, and
It makes
just,
it super
from day
squirrely and
one.
shit.
Yeah, from day one, he just put him out there like that, and so he didn't even know what it was like to drive a locked up car. So he just had to get used to it. And I mean, the kid was phenomenal. He knew where that line was between,
Where it's
So-
going to break and where it'll
So
hold.
yeah, because if you spin out 3 times in one race, you're gone. They just kick you out of the race.
Yeah, it's called
So you-
DOT, dead on track, and they
Yeah.
disqualify.
I wonder what age that stops. You know what I mean? Because
What?
at that you can spin out as much as you want. I think as a pro. I mean,
Oh, I
you
don't know.
shouldn't spin out, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's like a 3 times and you're
Yeah,
out.
I don't
rule.
know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
either.
Yeah.
It's like fighting in hockey. Like junior hockey, you can't fight, but as soon as you get to pros, it's like, all right, now beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, what a great that's funny. It's the one sport. Like, can you imagine a couple of women playing tennis? One of them just hops over that fucking
Starts
net
beating the shit
and
out of her with the
just-
racket.
with the racket, of course.
they were talking about
What'd
that
be
on
funny
King
is
of
if
the
they're like,
Sting yesterday.
You it would be like hockey where you have to throw down the racket. If you use the racket, you get disqualified. You get games taken away. You get suspended. But if you throw that racket down, you hop over, or maybe you had to stand on opposite sides of the net. You couldn't, and they just stood there and just.
They were talking about
Boom,
that on King
boom.
of the Sting and yesterday about how it's perfectly fine in hockey, less fine, but also kind of okay in baseball. But in the NBA, like people fucking lose their shit and like everyone gets suspended and everything. Right?
Yeah.
And Brendan Schaub was saying how racist it is. He's like, how come like in the sport it's all black dudes? We're like, oh no, you can't fight. But then the wider you
That's
get,
funny.
move into baseball a little bit wider, and then hockey super fucking wide. It's like, yeah, it's okay.
Damn, that's a good point.
That is pretty funny.
Racist ass.
Well, speaking of sports, I don't know if maybe I've just been in the dark, but you're Bob Menery guy you guys were talking
Yeah,
about.
I saw that.
I sent you that clip, but
so funny.
he was on David Spade, I guess, on that
Yeah, yeah.
show
More and more
Spade's
popular,
got.
I
Yeah.
guess.
That dude's he's getting huge. It's just so funny the way he says it when he's like, holy shit, on a
Yeah.
fucking tin roof.
No, it's funny. It makes me wonder. Like that other one I played for you, there's a handful of dudes out there that do that. And it's got to make you wonder what those guys are like.
It's
Like,
just
God damn
sort
it.
of maybe
We
it's,
do the same thing and it's just that much better. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's just what we really, really want to hear deep down. It's like these
yeah.
announcers,
announcers
these
on
guys,
TV,
the commentators. You're like, man, we don't even realize it, but how awesome would it be if they just talk like a normal person?
Yeah.
And then when he does, you're like, holy shit, that's funny. It's
Yeah.
like what you.
I just realized that. So in the normal, how do I say this? I was listening to a podcast the other day.
Never stopped you before.
Misogyny.
This isn't controversial or anything. I'm just trying to figure out the right way to say it. But I was listening to a podcast the other day about WeWork, a company that sells fractional or
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
it's like
I know what you
fractional
mean.
leases, like
It's
shared
like
space,
Hourly
corporate.
workspace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like where if you have a startup company. And
Fun
there's-
fact, the old podcast I did was out of one of those
Oh, is that right?
in LA. Yeah.
Nice.
We would rent one every Sunday and go drag all our shit in like this and
Nice.
set it up. It was all glass. It was called Blank Spaces. But when we had, when we had guests, it gave a really professional place for a guest to come in with a lobby and all that stuff. And it worked. We had celebrities on, and it worked really well because they would be like, "Oh, okay, I can go in there."
Yeah, it's legitimizes your startup. Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, you have like a garage business and stuff, but you can
don't mind the chloroform.
And they have phones and internet and all that kind of stuff, right? You get to take advantage. So it was really a cool idea. But the guy who was the CEO was this Israeli guy named Adam Newman, I think.
It doesn't sound very Israeli.
Anyway, he's 6'4", really tall, real handsome, dashing guy with like long hair and shit.
There's a word you don't hear anybody use often: dashing.
Dashing.
Splendidly dashing.
Go ahead.
Anyway, he turned out to be an asshole. And he was lying about shit, and he was like twisting fucking financial.
I heard, and then he had to step down or something, right?
Yeah. They ousted him, and the company went like days before their IPO. Right, they're gonna have an IPO, and the company was valued at like $85 million, and in like 2 days, it went to $5 million. Like one of the worst.
That's terrible.
Stock market, not even stock because they weren't even an IPO yet. They're going to be, but one of the worst valuation tanks since Enron.
Jeez.
And I was like, holy shit. So anyway,
it was because of that guy because
I guess I haven't gotten through all the story. I'm only on episode 3 of 6 right now, so I'm like halfway through figuring out.
Is this on Netflix?
Aaron's always good with the business documentaries.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You always come with those. Like
stumbled into this one. It's weird, but it's called We Crashed. And my point in bringing this up is, speaking of guys who talk like that, Jesus fucking shit bag titty fuck.
Is he one of those guys?
The guy that is the narrator of the podcast.
No.
He's like this old school kind of
broadcaster, announcer. Yeah.
And I'm like, why? God damn it! This could have been. I mean, it's a really interesting podcast. It could have been the perfect podcast had they not used this fucking guy with this annoying ass voice.
That'll ruin it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because he's just too like, and you know what I mean? It's too polished. It's like this whole thing. It's like stop fucking talking like that. It's
distracting from the content of the story because you're listening to like you can't help but hear.
It sounds like this super like polished up.
It's a cartoon.
Weird.
It's a cartoon.
It's like, why
voice.
Can't this guy just have a regular voice?
It's like a 30-second commercial, but for the whole time.
And in the beginning of the podcast, the guy talks about it. And he's like, I've been reporting on business, blah, 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 for more than 20 years and stuff on CNN and on this and that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Now I get it.
I hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a news.
You should retire and fucking die because I hate your voice.
I've been up too long this morning and had too much coffee. So you guys can talk shit about me and I'm going to go take a leak.
Okay. All right.
Let's talk shit about Jake.
Jake has massive problems in these many, many areas.
Number one.
Have fun with that.
So,
he's addicted to robotic sex dolls. Spent $20,000 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I whenever you watch the news and there's one of those ladies that's on there, that's the field reporter, and they're like,
oh yeah,
they're like, blah blah. They're like, and nothing has been spotted since last week.
Yeah.
Professionals in the field have stated that they do not know when the next report will be filed. Monica Sorensen,
ABC
CNN.
News. It's like the chick on the Asian reporter on Family Guy. It's like it's like the caricature.
Trisha Takanawa.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Something like that.
Trisha Takanawa, Asian reporter.
Yeah, she's just very.
The
very
worst
measured.
is there's a local lady who does that on, I want to say it was like Cairo radio or something like that. And God damn it, what was her name? Anyway, she was really bad. It was like super over the top, and you're kind of going, do you get off work and go home and talk to your husband like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no way.
It's like you're in the sack and everything, and you're getting busy and stuff. She's like, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, right
Hi.
there.
Hi. am about to come.
am
Wow.
coming.
What did I miss? Never mind. I don't want to know.
Newscast, female newscaster, sex talk.
Newscasters who talk goofy like that, do they talk like that all the time? Right?
I want to ask you before we get these guys on the show. We don't have to get too far into it because it's been everywhere else in the news, but the Kobe thing, the crash, not so much about that. But what do you think about the Ari Shaffir stuff? Did you hear about that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I'm curious what you think, because I got a buddy in LA. Well, I got a few obviously, but I got a friend in LA that I used to do the podcast with down there. And he and I used to have this rule that it's never too soon to joke about a death. It's just not too soon. You know what I mean? You don't make it the joke to someone's like spouse that died, you know, but like among
At
yourselves,
the funeral.
Show up to the funeral. Yeah.
We just had like a loose rule, like there's no such thing as too soon. So Kobe died, and I made a comment. I texted him and made a comment, and it didn't go. It was not well received. And I love
You
him.
pissed him off?
I love him. Shout out to Nell Rovers, but I didn't piss him off because he's much cooler than that, like as far as temperament wise. But it was like I'm not biting. And I realized it wasn't that funny, but it was good. But it's kind of one of those things where it's always safe to throw stones at idols until then it's yours that gets hit, kind of thing, and whatever whatever the old adage is.
Yeah.
And again, shout out to Nell, and it was one of those things where people didn't realize, people outside or people that aren't from they didn't realize, hey, this was a huge, heavy deal, I guess, for the city and for the region of LA.
Mhm.
Granted, LA is a sports town. You know, it just is with Dodgers, the legacy of the Lakers,
the
and
history,
the Raiders coming and going and all that.
Yeah, the Yankees being what they are.
I mean, the Chargers and their
but it's
long history in LA.
It is a sports town as far as a big city goes. It's a pretty good spot.
Whenever someone says "Da Bears,"
not like New York or
that's
Chicago, but
man, that is LA through and through.
But Ari, like myself, or not unlike me, didn't recognize the gravity or the weight of the situation and made a shitty joke and said something that he shouldn't have said, I guess.
Right.
But it is one of those things where anybody that follows Ari, I don't follow him very close, but anybody that follows him kind of knows that he's always made those comments and always
every time someone dies.
The Aretha Franklin stuff was like, and that's the other thing. There's way worse shit that he said about dead people than what he said about Kobe. But the timing was terrible. There's no excuse for it. I'm not defending Ari on that. I'm just saying I recognize that he misjudged the weight of that situation the same way that I did.
Right.
But I was curious what your take was, because I'm sure it's maybe similar, but not necessarily the same as mine, on all of the fallout and the fact that dude's getting death threats. He obviously got dropped from his management company.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been allowed to be on anything. He completely gave up all of his, shut down all his social media, gave up his phone again.
I didn't know it was that
bad. Got rid of the internet basically. So I'm curious, kind of, if you had any opinion.
Well, I don't see what the big deal is. I mean, we idolize these sports characters. They're not family. They're not close. I mean, okay, I guess that they inspire us in some way, but
it makes you feel like you know them.
Yeah, sure. And actually, I probably used to be that way, and I would think that the people that said, worshiping these sports idols and celebrities, you don't even know them, and they don't care about you. And I would always be like, "Oh, shut up, boomer."
Yeah.
And
okay, boomer.
And but now I do kind of feel that way. It's like, yeah, the guy was a great basketball player. Were we under the impression that he was never going to die? I mean, he died a little bit early, but my kids, my oldest daughter is like watching these videos about him on social media, or mostly just TikTok, that one.
Yeah.
And she's sad about it. I'm like, you have no idea who that guy is. Why are you upset? She's like, it's just so sad. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. Yeah. The whole, I mean, obviously it's just overblown. I think, like everything is nowadays. That's my take on it.
Well,
I just think, all right, just let him say what he's going to say. That the
it is kind of free market though, because
especially since
the socials are doing what they do, and
that's true.
Well,
you're going to say something, you're taking that chance of being ostracized, and he is.
And I
Everybody pretty
they're
much
allowed-
unanimously agreed that was poor timing.
They're
and poor
allowed to
taste.
do that, right? But he or was he not accused of some
Oh,
kind
totally.
of-
Yeah.
I
Yes.
thought about that
Yes.
right off the bat. as soon
That
as
was
I was like,
that was
wait,
part of my initial joke that I made, and the
Wasn't
point
there a
the
rape
point was
thing?
made back to me was that yes, all charges ended up being dropped, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as the record goes,
Yeah.
there wasn't anything.
Yeah,
And I
see,
said,
so
you know what?
that's-
All right, fair enough. I'll leave that one alone.
that's interesting too, because there are a lot of false accusations
Yeah.
in that realm
Yeah.
out there and stuff.
And
that would
hoes are hoes.
really fucking suck.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Totally.
Shit, that was so long ago at this point. Now it's like 20 years ago.
Oh, I
don't
don't
know.
even remember.
To be falsely
I know
accused
that
of some
hoes are
shit like that,
hoes, and
especially when you're famous like that, and there's some
He didn't rob a bank or anything, and whatever happened between him and his
Well,
wife, and
apparently
that $4 million
Aaron-
ring that he bought her to say sorry.
Oh, I know. What didn't Aaron Hernandez not? What wasn't he found not guilty on one of those?
the
many-
double murder?
Yeah, he was found not guilty.
He was found guilty of the one guy,
that
but
guy.
not.
So was OJ.
Yeah.
Ray Lewis actually had a murder. Do you remember
Oh,
that?
yeah,
He had a
of-
murder.
of course.
Ray Lewis, of course, he killed that guy. Ray Lewis is a fucking
And,
savage in
Ted,
every
man.
way.
Ted Kennedy,
Yeah, Ted. I don't
The
remember
drowning.
that one.
the drowning, the chick when he was drunk and he crashed
oh
his car
yeah,
in the
into
river
a lake and just
the-
left her. He was like, "Fuck this."
and he left her and she died. Yeah,
Jesus.
politicians all the way around. No, I mean it is a weird thing to kind of idolize a person, but
completely.
I
is.
also get how. I don't know. I can't claim to relate to different communities and what, like how different people could idolize people differently. Like to me, a basketball player is not a hero, but I could understand to how some kids it would be. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And especially if you grew up in that city, basketball was never my thing. I always liked watching the Lakers during playoffs because it was always interesting. It still feels weird now to look up and see LeBron in Lakers stuff.
For sure.
It's just kind of weird to me. And I don't follow basketball at all, but
But Kobe
I could understand how. I mean, dude came from high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and I could understand how, especially in LA, inner city. Like I understand kids would identify and idolize a guy
be
like that.
inspired.
And
yeah.
he was definitely a family man from the outside. From what I can see, granted, I don't know him, but from what I can see, he was a family man, and really kind of maybe that whatever happened in Colorado kind of was like his one saving, wake up call, whatever, and he kind of turned it around. Maybe, who knows? That's between him and his wife, whatever. But dude was definitely idolized, and I was just more curious on how he felt about Ari.
He was the truth. I mean, when you watch his old highlight, you kind of forget.
Yeah, you
how
forget
good
because you
he
watch somebody.
was.
Yeah,
He was
Yeah.
the LeBron of his day. He was him and Jordan played for a few years together there. But he was mentioned a lot of times as being the one who was going to take the torch from Jordan and kind of at least.
I still say Jordan's better,
Yeah, me too. But
but that's
man,
because
some
that's
of the
my era.
things that
That's why.
oh sure, some of the things that he did on the court were just
Big ass starter,
Holy
bull
shit.
starter jackets.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Shit.
There were a ton of people too that posted things like talking about the other people that were on that helicopter that died. They're like, hey, I mean, yeah, Kobe died. What about the other 7 people that were on that? Like there was this coach and his daughter, or coach and I don't know, a football coach, something like that. But there were these people from LA that were also, good people that died. And that always gives me a weird feeling when people say things like that. Because I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's true, but nobody fucking knows who those people are.
How
and
many
it's
rings do
obvious.
they have?
Yeah. How many-
Yeah,
how many
it's
rings?
obvious why he's
Oh,
the
here
one.
we go. Let's do this. I had it on silent, but it still rang through. Morning. Can you hear
Oh,
us?
wait.
Hold
Oh,
on. Hold on.
It looks like it didn't go.
How's that?
Hey,
Hold on.
Holy hell. Ira, that channel 3 over there next to you, that's the phone volume.
channel 3.
Down to the bottom
Oh, there's
there.
just channel 3, 4.
Yeah, that one. That's the phone volume. You guys got us?
Crank them up. What's up, fellas?
Shanty? Shuby? Uh-oh.
Wait a second here.
there we
Our Bluetooth isn't freaking working right now.
I can hear you.
There we go.
Let's try this out again here.
Oh, well, they can't hear us. This is going to be
Give me
great
one.
pod.
Put it away.
Is
I
it?
know.
Maybe. on the show notes will say ignore. Oh,
Turn it almost all the way down, would you, for a moment? Because they're going to call back. And I thought the ring was on silent, but I don't want the ring to blare through. So
sure.
Anyhow, while we're waiting for them to do this, you were so rudely interrupted.
No, just I wonder sometimes when I hear things like that about Kobe, people saying, "Oh, yeah, Kobe, big deal. What about this other guy?" And the other guy is white, and I think racist, maybe, maybe not.
It is sad though, like 9 people,
Maybe not.
and it was just a fucking cloudy day, and the sounds. I mean, granted, I haven't followed every detail, but it sounds like the helicopter didn't have the right stuff to scan the ground, like it didn't have the terrain, whatever, the terrain radar, whatever you want to call it. So it didn't have that.
They just ran into the side of a mountain.
They literally like 30 feet from clearing the top. Yeah,
dude.
And supposedly, granted, there's a bunch of rumors out there, and I haven't, like I said, but there were a bunch of helicopters that were grounded that day, like told not to fly.
Wow.
And the way that aviation works, I guess, from what I was watching, is ultimately, if there's not a ban on it, if it's just recommended that you don't, like a small craft advisory,
totally,
it's an advisory. So. Oh, so that's awesome. You want to go find Leah? She's downstairs.
There you go. That's the cutest thing you'll hear all week.
Okay.
There you go. That's the cutest.
Right. How's that? Hello.
Here all week. Okay.
Oh, look at that was Ira's voice right there, and that's
how's that? Hello.
That's super terrible.
What a bummer.
Hello, you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, but it sounds like we're massively delayed.
And we have an echo.
Hello, you guys hear me?
That's really bad. Well, I thought you worked this out already, Jake.
Well, I tested it. Like if I call you, there's no delay or anything. I think it's on because they also have a recording setup, and I believe they're running through their recording setup, and so we're running through ours.
Yeah.
So I know
we
that
can't record podcast to podcast.
It's like the laws of physics or something.
It creates a wormhole.
It does.
There's a tear in the space-time continuum.
That was actually them coming from another dimension. Recording technology just doesn't work like that.
Dial
folks.
in their flux capacitor.
Yep.
Obviously.
The flux capacitor needs to be repaired.
I was in a debate the other day with Ryder, my middle son, who's turning out to be quite the little geek, and he was saying something about time travel and stuff, and I was like, time travel is not possible. And I said, who do you think you are, Dr. Emmett Brown? And I said something like that, and Marty and all this kind of stuff, but they had no idea what I was talking about.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, the old man references.
Yeah. I was like,
they're like,
Bubba,
what?
you cannot time travel because you don't have a DeLorean and you haven't figured out the flux capacitor yet. And he was like, what are you talking about?
It's like,
I got a good
who do you think you are? Clark Gable or something?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that doesn't.
Like in, second Family Guy reference of the day. This is kind of weird. When Meg is downstairs having a sleepover with her friends and they're talking about boys, and if you had the face of this celebrity heartthrob and the body of this one, and something or other, and then what's Peter's wife's name again? Lois comes downstairs. She's like, ooh, I want to play, and she says the face of and she says someone super old like that, and the body of this guy who's another old guy, and she's like, and the legendary genitals of so and so.
How's that,
you old lady? How's what? We trying to call again?
We are.
Turn it up. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
What Jake is talking about.
Hello?
Hey.
Shanty.
There, I can hear you guys.
Is that better?
We can hear you guys.
Hey, it's working.
We can hear you too.
Awesome, yeah.
How about that?
That works.
How about that? Catch us outside. How
I'm
about that?
I'm gonna leave Ira in charge of the volume. So
now you done it.
Now we can blame it on him.
Uh-oh.
What's up, guys?
Not much. How you guys doing this morning?
We are doing good. We were talking about Kobe and helicopters and
it's cold out here. It's
Poorly-
so cold. You guys wouldn't understand. It is freezing in this. Yeah, it's like 41 degrees. It's horrible.
It's like 20 degrees, and I plan on working outside today in a t-shirt and a sweater.
Nice balmy 20.
yeah,
You
but
North Dakotaans are different folk, aren't you?
Yeah, we are a horse of a different color.
Shuby's still coming down from all the cookers though. He can be outside without a jacket on.
Oh, they have no idea.
They're horses of
Oh,
they're like Appaloosas.
My loves.
That's so you guys, the first thing that I wanted to ask you guys when I found out that you were from North Dakota is, you don't have any pro sports teams, but are you huge fans of North Carolina of the North Dakota of the North Dakota college football
Oh
team?
yeah, the
Who
Bison.
wins? They
Bison.
win national championships like
Every
they
year.
just walk outside and grab the milk off the porch. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna win again. Yeah.
Absolutely nuts.
I guess.
Okay, I'm hearing something
Are
else
you there?
here. We're Bison fans up here. I think we 5 or 6 years in a row now.
Yeah,
We
that
got
sounds
the
about right.
championship.
In a row.
I know.
That's nuts. And
That's kind of
isn't that where
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz went?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's playing for the Eagles now. Well, I think he is still. I don't know if he's still hurt.
I mean, that's not much to brag about.
The poor guy is kind of might be made of glass, man.
He won the damn Super Bowl last year.
I know.
Anyway.
Did he really though?
Yeah, exactly.
Was he responsible
Did he
for that?
really, though? So we were talking here about your show and how you guys had me on to promote the 6-gun stuff. But what I thought was really cool, I heard some crazy statistic. There you go. About how there's like 900,000 something podcasts.
Oh, I bet.
In existence currently. But what I thought was cool is Happy Hour News Team is the only podcast I know of. I'm sure there are more. The only one that I know of. So it's the only one that counts in North Dakota. But I wanted to hear the story about kind of how you guys got started and how you, so I went on the show and it was like 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And then he takes some time and really edits. Like, we're just haphazard assholes. We just throw a webcam on and we just recorded one shot. Whatever happens, and that's what you get.
Total hacks.
These guys like sit down and edit a show together. He edits music in, he edits commercials in, like a real consummate professional. So I just wanted to sit back and let you guys kind of give the quick crash, 60-second version of how Happy Hour News Team got started.
That has nothing to do with old Shuby here. That's for damn sure.
Well, thanks, guys. Yeah. Well, like I said in a previous episode, we have about 10 months out of the year that it's fucking cold and miserable and we're stuck inside.
Ouch.
So we get a bottle, and we sit around a table and we talk. And we just decided one night to, hey, let's record this shit. I bet you a fly on the wall would love to hear it. Somebody out there in podcast land.
That
We
sounds
started
familiar.
out with a Florida man because there's never a shortage of Florida man stories.
Yeah.
So I don't think my co-hosts here don't know what Florida Man is. Why don't you tell them what Florida Man is?
I can imagine.
You go, okay, well, I got a Florida man story for you here then.
All right.
Okay, let me get this story pulled up here.
So while he's doing that, there's a old on Kevin and Bean in LA. They used to do a segment called Germany or Florida, and they would tell a fucked up news story, and you had to guess if it happened in Florida or in Germany.
Nice.
So Happy Hour News Team does a Florida man story, and it's always a crazy news story that happens in Florida.
Yeah, it's well, there's always this bizarre shit going on in Florida, and we don't understand why. I mean, obviously, we ran into a few stories here from North Dakota that will challenge Florida man here in the future. But Florida man that was eaten by an alligator had died from a meth overdose originally. So this guy, in late June, the body of Michael Ford, 45, was found floating in the water on a Fort Meade property owned by a mining company. Part of the forged body was in the mouth of a 450-pound alligator who was subsequently trapped and killed by Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation, Commission agents. Turns out this guy fucking OD'd on meth and fucking just fell in a goddamn swamp. And a goddamn alligator ate him.
He died twice.
So,
About that.
We got North Dakota man, North Dakota woman here, but it's just the bizarre stories that come out of Florida.
I wonder if alligator's addicted to meth now and has a meth problem.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
His 700 teeth were chattering like a motherfucker.
Wow. We're gonna have to put that gator down. I mean,
yeah. Now he's got the taste. He's got the taste for meth now.
Completely.
He'll be eating mac and cheese before you know it.
Did you guys see that that thing floating around social media of that lady like in a Walmart or something like that was trying to convert people to Jesus Christ? And she was like, "You need to repent, motherfucker." And she kept saying "motherfucker" over and over again.
I'm trying to save you, motherfucker.
It was so amazing. And then she changed. The weirdest thing for me was she went from motherfucker about halfway through. She started going motherfucker. Like, she totally changed the way she's saying it.
Drop the hard on.
Motherfucker. Oh, God. It was so amazing. Yeah. So good. And then there's like 5 or 6 other videos out there of her doing this sort of thing all over town. It's really funny.
I wonder if that's half staged.
I don't know.
I wish I could run into somebody like that in real life.
Totally.
Man, yeah, if we could run into her. So is she a Florida woman too?
I don't know.
I got hit up outside of a Kohl's once by Scientologists.
Really?
Yeah, in the parking lot. Like I was walking to the car. I don't even remember the first question they asked you, but it was some sort of like when you're anybody you ask, like the answer is of course yes. It was like, would you like to be better organized in your life? And you're like, of course, yeah. Oh, well, let me talk to you. And then somebody walks by, and I was there like 5 seconds, and someone walks by and goes, "Fucking Scientologist." And I stood there for like another 30 seconds, and I was like, "Oh yeah, no thanks," and I walked off. But that's the only time like I've come close to a cult.
Those crazy fuckers, those Scientologists. Jesus Christ, what the hell's wrong with them?
So
it's weird, man.
We have a similar story how our show started, but how did Shuby get involved then?
Well, all right, Shuby, I'll let you talk here. They wanted me to come over one night, and the rest is history, kind of.
That's a shitty story. You gotta punch it up a little more than that.
We've been friends for 20 plus years, and it's kind of hanging out. And he's like, "We're gonna start this podcast. You want to be on it? Do guest spots?" And I was like, "Sure." And then he's finally like, "Well, me and Sean talking it works better with 3 people than it does with 2. So then, like, when you don't have anybody else on, or I just come over here if I don't have to work."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we said, the whole starting of it was we were all sitting around getting drunk, talking. Bought a couple microphones one night when I was drunk. Drunk Amazon shopping, and then it exploded. I mean, we got a couple of condenser mics. It worked fine at the beginning, and we're like, "Fuck it, we're gonna get the good stuff." So we got some good Rode mics, a Rode mixer, and we just
Rode makes good stuff.
You guys having us on and the compliment of the editing, because like Sean said, he would just put it out there. And like we did with our first episode, I don't know how many people we scared off with that episode, because that's unedited, no music, no nothing. We recorded, and I saved it in a format that was at the time uneditable. So I was like, fuck it, put it out there.
It's a Polaroid.
And now, like you said, I put music in it. It takes about 6 to 8 hours to fully edit and produce an hour show. So
he's dedicated to doing it for sure.
Definitely.
Well, you guys have guests on quite a bit, or I noticed at least I wasn't the first one when I came on. And this is, I did a podcast before back in the day, and we had guests all the time, but it was a different setup. So this is the first time on YPod that we've had guests. And I thought it was cool that for you guys being a newer podcast that you already had guests kind of right out of the gate.
Well, I think that's how, because at first nobody was really listening. So I'm like, well, I'm going to get some guests, and then they're going to tell people to listen. And they're, if they like it, then they'll tell people. And then, where I think I'm going with this is we're going to do a lot more bands because I'm a musician. I love music. And there's so many local bands around our parts that don't get any exposure really. So if we can get their music out there in the fucking blogosphere and, have other people listen to it. I mean, that's badass.
That's cool.
And like I said before, there's no license to do a podcast. I just have to get permission from the artist to put their music out there and use it. And I think that's where we're going to be going with this. We're going to keep Florida Man, of course. And
Got to do that.
Well, yeah, you have to.
And a couple of what the fuck stories, because there's just some stories out there. They don't even have to be from Florida. They're just bizarre, and a lot of people don't hear about them. So we'll click on it and we'll record it.
And the bonus episodes.
And the bonus, Shuby does a bonus episode with his drag racing.
Oh yeah.
Racer.
Yep.
Ooh, drag racing, huh?
We've got auto racing enthusiasts.
So real quick, guys, my co-hosts here, I don't know how much you follow the show, but my co-hosts here are a set of twins that I've known here for quite a few years, good friends of mine, and their kids are all into, I'm going to fuck this up, 3/4 midget racing? Quarter midget. God,
1/4 midget.
1/4 midget. So it's like just a leg.
That's not butchering little people. It's kids racing.
So Shuby, I don't know, maybe you guys just bonded over the nitrous gasoline, but nitro fuel, that's what I meant to say.
My car's just naturally aspirated big block gas from the 60s with 4-speed in it, and I've run like 11.87 at 115 miles an hour, but I also weigh 4,500 pounds, and I'm planning on lightening the car up this next year and doing a few other things to probably get into the mid 11s with it.
Aaron and Ira just both went from 6 to midnight on that one.
We grew up. I mean, our dad brought us to the drag strip when we could barely walk really.
Yeah.
So that's
my dad took me to the drag show. That's probably where we fucked up. That's where it got. Yep.
No, so we grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, and there was a small drag strip in Palmer, which is about an hour away from Anchorage, just like east, I guess. But yeah, so we've been drag racing fans our whole lives. So that's awesome, man. I think that's great. But yeah, now we get our kids into quarter midget racing, which obviously that's an oval track thing and stuff, a little different than drag racing.
It's more like a sprint car.
Yeah, it's like a miniature sprint car,
It's kind of like your roundy round stuff.
Yep.
Oh, okay. It's not a straight shot. It's okay.
Yep, roundy round. It's a 1/20th of a mile track, so it's real tight, real small. And we have how many?
Those are good words when you're talking about kids.
Yeah.
Tight and small. Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, we're into it pretty big now. I mean, we both have trailers and all kinds of shit, and we got how many cars now between the two of us? 10 cars.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
It's one of the bugs I'm glad that I don't get bit by.
Yeah.
Because I can observe that it's expensive, and it's awesome to see. I mean, they're awesome dads and they spend a lot of time with their kids, but it's really cool to see that part. But I do not envy the overhead for having that kind of hobby.
Yeah, I'll be broke forever.
Well, I'll tell you, like the expense that comes along with racing. If you get a kid into racing, they're never going to be able to afford a drug habit because they're going to be spending all their money on
There you go.
And
Damn, that's a great point.
I mean, besides my cooker habit, I mean,
that's once you get to the podium, though, right? The cookers are free.
Once in a while,
Right.
Man's got to have vices.
yeah, you got to treat yourself. I mean, otherwise, it's all business and no pleasure.
Shuby, you're gonna have to
But,
explain what the cookers are.
My buddy's nephew runs a junior dragster, and he actually won the championship at our track last year, the second year out running the junior dragster. And yeah, I mean, it's a great, like that
Wow.
kid never spoke more than 5 words in one sentence to his uncle. And as soon as he got into drag racing, he opened up and just broke right out of the shell and was like talking, and like now he goes around the track, and he's got like, that's the only time he gets to see his friends is when he goes out to the track.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of friends. But I know it's really weird how auto racing in general seems to really bring something out of kids that, Little League or other stuff really doesn't. I'm not sure. There are so many people out at our club who have said the same thing, had changed their kid in huge ways. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing what it does. And I mean, and like we got this one guy at our track that was bitching about the junior dragsters running, that they were taking too much time. It's like, they take no more time than any other class does. It's like, let the kids have their fun, because they're going to be the future of drag racing.
Yeah, that's kind of a dick thing to do.
Yeah,
You
what a
could
prick. I was
bitch
just going
about
to
the
say, like,
kids.
hey, just get these damn kids out of here.
Oh, dude,
There's one in every crowd, right?
This idiot has a brand new Dodge Demon, and I beat him with my old Gaster. Like, what is that for his driving skills?
That's the
I love
ultimate,
that.
Yeah.
What's that show on Netflix that's like the fastest car? Or
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
And there's every episode there's 4 different people, and one out of the 4 is always some super rich fucking asshole who's got like this brand new. One guy had a Ford GT, and they always get their asses handed to them, and it's hilarious. It's always by some broke ass kid and wrenching on his own car.
It was kind of sad that day, because you got this demon that's supposed to run sub 10 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got a 12.8 dialed in on his windshield, and I'm running like, that day I was running like a 12.0 consistency, so I was beating him by like 8 car lengths.
Wow.
Yeah, what the hell's that guy doing? I mean, yeah, that car is incredible. He doesn't know how to drive.
I was gonna say, you got to know how to drive it. It doesn't matter what you got.
Yeah, you don't want to take it out of the kids, because, like Shuby said, that's the future of drag racing. I mean, you don't want to fucking put a thorn in their side and rush them through it.
It's the future of any sport. I mean, like, even those midget corners. I mean, who's going to be the World of Outlaw series?
Yep.
The future, if you take that shit away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all the NASCAR guys now are guys that used to that grew up racing quarter midgets and got into sprint cars and everything. And at least in a lot of the best drivers actually are guys that came through on the dirt circuit and stuff, and still run sprint cars to this day. So
yeah, see, like, we got a local dirt track here, and every time I tell somebody that I race, they're like, "Oh, you race here?" And it's like, no, my car's way too nice to be out there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean,
rail cars.
Well, it's stock cars, and then you got your modifieds and stuff that race on the dirt out here.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, everybody's always like, "Well, why don't you ever race at Dickinson?" It's like, because they don't have a drag strip; they got a round track.
Mm-hmm.
I know the dirt track thing. We normally run on asphalt, and we ran on dirt indoors a couple of weeks ago. And I was thinking the whole time, I was cringing, because I knew that those nice new cars I got are absolutely disgustingly dirty inside and out. And I'm just like, oh no, now I got to clean them up. And yeah, asphalt is better in that way for sure.
Well, real quick, Shanty, Shuby,
how long have you guys been doing this podcast? I've listened to a few episodes, and pretty fucking cool.
Couple years now.
It's
shit going on.
We've been doing it about a couple years, but we have been taking off most of the summer the last couple years, because the kids do all the racing, and that's when all the racing happens. We've gotten a decent growth in listenership, I guess. It kind of steadily keeps growing. So I think we're going to try and find a way this next racing season to do it during the week. But yeah, we've been doing it, I don't know, a couple years. And it kind of started the same way. We used to get together once a month at a Starbucks, like really early in the morning, and just get together and shoot the shit. And we just decided, we should start recording this. I used to do a show before, and I had a lot of equipment still. And I knew that it wasn't too hard as far as barrier to entry to do a show if you had some decent equipment to record with and knew how to do some editing and some software, and we started doing it. So we love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. I mean, yeah, I enjoy your podcast. It's called Three Wise Men, or is it a Y Pod?
It's Y Pod. It started out as like we just like to ask why about everything. We all kind of tend to pick things apart with our brains and examine the pieces. So it started out as Y Pod. When I first, I think it was the publishing software I started using, they asked for like a parent company name, and it was around Christmas time that we started it. And so I thought it was a pretty smart ass thing to call ourselves the Three Wise Men. So it just kind of started that way.
Yeah, I love it. That's good. I mean, I listened to your latest one, and then a couple before it when you first sent me that link, and yeah, pretty badass. I love what you do.
Well, thanks, guys. Tell everybody where to find your show, and then kind of what your next episode is coming up, and give a quick little 30-second rundown before we let you go.
All right, we are Happy Hour News Team. For some fucked up reason, we had to abbreviate hours, so it's Happy HR News Team. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. our next episode that should be airing this Tuesday, we interviewed Chuck Nasty from Nasty Nation out of Kentucky, and he's a character, man. I mean, he talks horror movies, he talks music, pretty much everything I'm into. So yeah, we found him on a podcast group, just like I found Jake here. And yeah, we're just going to keep going. We record 2 weeks ahead of time. That way, if life happens and we can't record, we still have something to put out for that week. And I don't know what the hell we're going to do this summer because my house is getting tore down.
Oh,
so
shit.
we're going to be living out of a camper. I don't know how we're going to do a production.
I've been suggesting doing podcasts in my garage.
There you go. Better than nothing.
Yeah. We'll figure something out. Maybe we'll take a season break or
no, don't do that.
I don't know.
Don't take a break. Keep the momentum. There's a ton of decent mobile recording stuff too, like Tascam handheld stuff that is pretty damn near studio quality that you could do and turn it into like a Tales from the Road or something. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. I was talking to Sean the other night about getting one of those mics you just hook up to your phone, and then I could save it to the phone and somehow edit it later. But
hey,
like
man,
I said, we're going to be living in a camper for the next 6 to 8 months, and it's going to be tough.
So what the hell happened to your house? Was this planned? I mean, holy shit.
Well, I bought a house about 15 years ago, and it's a 100-year-old house.
Jesus.
The basement is totally collapsing.
Oh, fun.
So it's been planned for about the last 2 months, and it's kind of scary because, like I said, I mean, how are we going to do a podcast? And
I like that's your concern. Like my house is getting low. How am I going to do the podcast?
How the fuck are you going to take a shower, dude?
Priorities.
The best part about it is he's going to be living in my yard in his camper. He's going to be my neighbor, so his wife's just going to have to deal with all the cookies coming in and out.
I love it. Life imitating art. You're going to turn into North Dakota, man. It's hilarious.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be awesome.
Well,
started talking about us, and like I said, I appreciate us. You guys being on our show, and I appreciate us, coming on your show, because that's going to get the word out there. That's how infections spread, and I think we're Happy Hour News Team. We're a fucking infection.
We'll let you go there. Thanks for coming on, guys. Maybe we'll have to check in over the course of the home demolition and see how you're doing out there.
Yeah, I just subscribed to your podcast, guys. So looking forward to listening and keeping up with what happens over the.
Don't get into any Breaking Bad shit there in the RV.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Take it easy.
Hey.
Nice. Well, that worked.
Yeah, that's good. That was a
nice recovery there, Jay.
I knew that it wasn't on this end. I think they were trying to record on their end too, but I told them, I said, if you want to put this on your show, I'll just send you the audio.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the nice thing about being able to hook it up through that separate board is they're hearing this audio instead of sounding like we're on a phone. I mean, granted, they sound like they're on a phone to us, but getting the audio, they're hearing the nice crystal clear. So when I was on their show, I got to hear their clear audio and they heard me yapping through a phone. But
gotcha.
So let's bring it home. Do you have a misogyny corner this week?
Misogyny.
I saw you had some notes over there.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I have a misogyny corner, but I've got a.
So Shuby didn't get into it, but he was talking about cookers when I was on their show, and cookers is what he calls his cocaine and hookers. So he kept referring to cookers every time I was on their show. So now it's turned into this running thing. I don't think he heard me over the delay on the phone, but I was trying to have him explain it.
Right. So I talked to some Mormons yesterday. I invite the Mormons in.
That is how all good stories start.
Yes. And I talked to them, and
you let them come in your house and you guys have discussions.
Well, they were in the garage actually while I was working on cars, and
I guess
so it just made
you're not
sense.
Taking time out of your day in that respect, right?
I brought up what I thought was a genius scenario where I basically told them that I didn't understand what was so great about heaven. This is supposed to be our reward, and what I was always told was that we
I was in a debate with Dad about this.
God, I wish I could have been there.
Were you? Oh man, yeah. So we're supposed to be like at the right hand of God, or not? Right? We're supposed to hang out with God, and I'm like, man, I don't even really know the guy. Not quite sure that we're compatible. We don't really have much in common.
But you're in his image.
Don't really
so,
like his personality. I mean, wouldn't it make more sense? Just hear me out, guys. If you got to go to a place where
Seems like
you got to
prone
do
to
all the
mood
things
swings.
that you were not supposed to do on Earth, like you showed up in heaven and there's just cocaine and whores and
yeah.
drink and debauchery, that makes more sense. It's sort of like the way the Muslims believe, where you get 72 virgins.
Yeah.
I mean,
you abstained for so long, now you can have all you want.
right.
Yeah.
That makes a little more sense to me. But
So you want to go to hell?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Don't worry.
More of my friends would be there.
Don't
I feel
worry,
like.
because you'll be there, and your friends will be there. Too.
No, I had a super long debate with Dad about this late at night while my mom and my dad were there, drinking and stuff, and of course, and so you kind of get a little passionate about it.
What?
And I was telling him about how great the movie Coco was.
The gorilla movie?
No, the
Gorilla?
Disney animated Mexican movie.
Yeah, the Dia de los Muertos movie.
Yes.
Yeah, with what's his name, Papa Julio, whatever. I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
so
watched it for
yeah
for like
Dela
6 months. I
Cruz,
watched
Dela
it 3 times a
Cruz.
day. Yeah,
Yeah. So the beautiful thing
That's a good
about
movie.
that movie, it's so good.
and long as fuck.
And it's
too.
so good because of the symbology there. Symbology.
I think you're the symbolism.
Symbolism. So anyway, the fact that when you die, people remember you, right? And I told my dad, I said, John 3:16 is about having everlasting life, right? And I said, the way that you guys are interpreting that is all wrong. I said, it's not literal. And I said, it's way more. You think that this thing is super powerful because it's literal and because, yeah, we really do get to see God and live with God and go to heaven. I said, it's not. It's a metaphor. And I'm trying to convince him that as a metaphor, it's actually more powerful than it being
Than forever
literal.
actually being alive.
Yeah.
Or
Because what it's trying to say is you live the kind of life that where you're the kind of guy that leaves the kind of impact on your loved ones that you are never forgotten. And so in that respect, you have everlasting life. And I said, isn't that just, I was like beside myself, like on the ground on my knees, telling my dad, I was like, that's a bigger fucking deal than going to fucking heaven forever. And he was like, no, I just don't. I'm like, oh, can't you see this? Like, I was driving me nuts. I'm
I
like,
wish there was film of this.
I said, why is it better? Because you could go to heaven,
yeah.
theoretically, right? If you believe in all this shit, you could go to heaven
If you believe in all this
and
shit.
live
Yeah.
forever. And you, theoretically, having not interacted with humans necessarily very well on earth at all, right?
Okay.
Go to heaven, have everlasting life.
Yeah.
The other way, you can't do
And
that.
Live your life in heaven's library.
Yeah, I guess. And it's like you could fuck people over in the world every single day and not actually leave any kind of legacy for yourself whatsoever and still go to heaven. And it's just like as long as you ask Jesus to be your savior
Yeah.
on your deathbed.
Yeah. You have
So
to do,
if
you
you
have to do it like that with
possess-
the arm.
yeah.
though, too.
If you have enough credulity, like
Ooh.
you believe, if you're
Damn.
gullible enough, basically, you get to go to heaven forever. Yeah, maybe that's not what it means at all. It's like in the movie Troy. I think about this all the time, and I mentioned
no
it
one will
when at
remember
the
your
beginning. Yeah, at the beginning, the little kid finds him in the tent with 2 hot chicks. And he's like sleeping in. He's supposed to be on the battlefield, and he's like, "You've got to go. They're waiting for you." And he's like, "Have you seen the man you need to fight? I wouldn't want to fight him." And he goes, "That's why no one will remember your name." And it's kind of funny because it's sort of like nowadays it would be, yeah, well, that's because you're fucking nobody, kid, and you'll never be anybody. So fuck off. It's basically what he's saying. But that I think is exactly what Aaron's saying. That's what everlasting life is. It's like, unless it's a call to action, really. John 3:16 is a call to action, I think. It's, hey, stand up, be brave.
Yeah.
do the right thing, make a difference,
Be
have
remembered.
some fucking
Be remembered for
courage.
being.
All those things
Okay,
are
well-
a way to live your life. And instead, that was my thing with my dad, is that he reads that and goes, I have to ask Jesus to be my savior. Okay. Would you be my savior? Done.
That can't
It's like,
be.
no,
That can't.
you're
be.
not fucking done. That's not
It's not a
what that's
game.
trying to say. And so the metaphorical way to interpret that stuff is way more powerful than literal.
I agree with you, but here I take it a step farther, and this is maybe bringing it back to the literal, but all the credulity and gullibility included, I look at it like that was written when people were still nomads. That stuff was written when people were literally chasing sheep around in tribes and herds. Like there were no towns and cities per se. Like the Bible and when the scrolls were written, people were nomadic people. There weren't really any, whatever. I'm off on my biblical history, but Babylon, one of the very first towns in the Bible was, when the Bible was already written, or what became the Bible. So I look at it like you've got people that have the most rudimentary life, like hand to mouth, staying alive, literally raising the food or raising animals that you're going to kill and eat and use their, like you're barely above an animal yourself. And yet you're trying to have a reason to keep people positive and keep people together and keep people from like humanity's got to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't you just lie to them and tell them, like, if you do this, it's forever? Well, we can't conceptualize how long 500 years would feel like,
right?
But you're going to tell somebody they can live forever. And to a very simple mind, that might as well be 100 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, forever. It's all the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's more where that comes. So it is still metaphorical, but I really think people were trying to convince people, like, look, if you just stay in line, because people were fucking each other. They were, I mean, it was out and out. Like, imagine being one step above an animal. It'd be incest, it'd be all kinds of stuff.
Totally.
It's like, look, keep your shit together, and this is what you get. You get to live forever. That's more of what
I do think that's part of it, but I disagree that they were nomadic.
Okay.
People because of the way it's described in the book Exodus, where the Jews were basically condemned to walk in the wilderness, right? I think though they were nomadic, and that was looked at like hell on earth.
Yeah, but that was already written then.
Well, they're talking about history apparently in the book. Well,
yeah,
I mean, it says in the Bible that there are
was...
cities with walls. I mean, they're nothing like cities today, but I think that civilization was sought after and it was important. And I do think that there probably were people that were a lot smarter than we give them credit for. I think that if these verses are actually metaphors, these people are kind of brilliant.
Totally.
In ways that you couldn't imagine.
That's the thing that I can't wrap my brain around. It's like how people wrote those stories. But
it's like Genesis when you listen to.
I also
Jordan
think it
Peterson.
wasn't. I also think it's that. Sorry, I don't think it's that dramatic. I think if you go to the original translation, when they had 12 words in the whole fucking dictionary, like when we have the vocabulary we have now and we translate that, and what was 4 words then is 27 words now.
Don't get me wrong. They were simpler people in very, very hard times. I understand that. There was a show I was watching the other day. It's what I can't remember what it was called, but this lady somehow time travels back to medieval Scotland.
Outlander.
So the husband, I don't want to spoil it, but
you can.
At one
Nobody
point,
that listens to this is going to watch that.
Yeah. So at one point, this husband, the wife doesn't listen to the husband. She gets in a world of shit. I mean, it takes
this is
putting
turning a little
men
misogynist
in danger, right? It's
We're bringing
very.
it home. We're bringing it home.
This is
Mansplaining
very
right now.
very.
Did you sit Sarah down and make her watch it?
Oh, we were watching it together. It was really funny.
Did you rewind? Hey, watch this again.
Yeah,
See how she fucks up.
Yeah. And so all of the men in the group and the basically small army, they were put in danger because they had to go rescue her.
I thought this was going
and
gang direction.
She put all their lives in danger.
Ira's mind, it did.
Therefore, when they got back home, he had to punish her. He took a belt and he spanked her. Right. And
Nice.
and he's explaining, he goes, now he's explaining it beforehand because she's like, you've got to, like, if you come near me with that thing. And he's like, now look, these are hard times. You can't, if somebody steps out of line and disobeys orders, they must be punished. That is not an option. You're going to cause the entire downfall of this clan. And I was like, wow, that kind of explains the Bible in a real simple way. And it's that, yeah, things had to be kind of brutal. They had to be simple. There had to be laws where you can't be gay. We need to procreate here, people. All right. Yep. We don't have time to waste, philandering with other dudes.
I was thinking about that. That's like, yeah, you have to have laws and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's totally imperfect, but it's like, you got to have something.
I think it was well-intended, like clubhouse rules from a long time ago that went way too far.
There's what it is. There's a Netflix docu-series called I'm a Killer or something like that. Yeah. Season 2 is out right now. And there was a wife, it's like season 2, episode 4, I think it was, a wife that killed her husband. And this season they have a lot of women. There's actually, I think, 2 women that I've seen so far that might be
murder porn.
Murder women. This lady had her husband was a fucking monster of a guy, right? Abusive, kicked the shit out of her all the time, kicked the shit out of their youngest daughter and stuff. Yeah. He was just a fucking horrible human being through and through. He would go out and get drunk with his friends and stuff, bring his friends all back home and stuff. And eventually his buddies and stuff, he brought his buddies up to his bedroom and they all gang banged his wife, like gang raped his wife. Okay. And he sat there and watched him. Like, he's a fucking animal, this guy, right? So yeah, needs to die probably. So she kills her husband. Now she's locked up for life in jail. And it's like, of course, when you kill your husband, you have to go to prison for the rest of your life. Yes.
But maybe.
Yeah, of course, but maybe. How about that? Shout out to Mr. Me Too over there. What's his name? The
Louis.
Comedian? Louis C.K.
Mr. Me Too.
But maybe we just need to quietly, like, let this lady out of prison because it's like, yeah, she killed a guy.
Of course.
He's a fucking animal, right?
Yes.
But my point in saying that is,
if you sat everybody down at the same time and everyone watched an objective 1 hour thing about facts, everybody like, okay, let her go. She's not going to kill anybody else. Let her go.
But they can't do that because society has to have some kind of order, and you can't tell everybody out there in general, it's okay if you subjectively think that your husband's an asshole, you can kill him, right? Yeah. So it's like, I understand. Keep her in jail, I guess. Fuck. But it's kind of fucked up.
They should just let her out.
There are places in...
Yeah, maybe quietly. Like, don't broadcast it that it's okay to kill your husband, but like someone needs to just be like, hey, just...
Whoever it was that took care of Epstein...
Exactly.
Just go let her out and balance will be back with the universe.
There you go.
All right.
The balance in the universe, Epstein and this lady. I like it. That was a beautiful way to tie a bow on this episode. Say so myself.
All right, guys. Have a good week. We will catch you next weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, man. Do you ever, like, if you don't really eat breakfast much, right?
No.
So do you notice that when you get up in the morning, if you don't eat a lot of food,